Shafa Alya Ginanita. Today, I will present about how to write a hypothesis. In this presentation, there will be three contents. First, what is hypothesis? It contains variables in hypothesis. The second one is developing a hypothesis. First, asking a question. Second, do some preliminary research. Third, formulate your hypothesis. Fourth, refine your hypothesis. Fifth, praise your hypothesis in three ways. And sixth, write a null hypothesis. And the last content is hypothesis example. Let's start with the first content. What is hypothesis? A hypothesis states your predictions about what your research will find. It is a tentative answer to your research question that has not yet been tested. For some research projects, you might have to write several hypotheses that address different aspects of your research question. A hypothesis is not just a guess. It should be based on existing theories and knowledge. It also has to be testable, which means you can support or refute it through scientific research methods, such as experiments, observations, and statistical analytics of data. Next, variables in hypothesis. Hypotheses propose a relationship between two or more variables. An independent variable is something the researcher changes or controls. A dependent variable is something the researcher observes and measures. Example, daily apple consumption leads to fewer doctor's visits. In this example, the independent variable is apple consumption at the assumed cause, and the dependent variable is the frequency of doctor's visit, the assumed effect. Next, the second content is developing a hypothesis. First, asking a question. Writing a hypothesis begins with a research question that you want to answer. The question should be focused, specific, and researchable within the constraints of your project. Example, do students who attend more lectures get better exam results? Second, do some preliminary research. Your initial answer to the question should be based on what is already known about the topic. Look for theories and previous studies to help you form educated assumptions about what your research will find. At this stage, you might construct a conceptual framework to identify which variables you will study and what you think that relationships are between them. Third, formulate your hypothesis. Now, you should have some idea of what you expect to find. Write your initial answer to the question in a clear, concise sentence. Example, attending more lectures leads to better exam results. Next, refine your hypothesis. You need to make sure your hypothesis is specific and testable. There are various ways of phrasing a hypothesis, but all the terms you use should have clear definitions, and the hypothesis should contain: first, the relevant variables; second, the specific group being studied; and the third is the predicted outcome of the experiments or analysis. Fifth, phrase your hypothesis in three ways. To identify the variables, you can write a simple prediction in if-then form. The first part of the sentence states the independent variables, and the second part states the dependent variable. Example, if a first-year student starts attending more lectures, then their exam scores will improve. In academic research, hypotheses are more commonly phrased in terms of correlation or effects, where you directly state the predicted relationship between variables. Example: the number of lectures attended by first-year students has a positive effect on their exam scores. If you are comparing two groups, the hypothesis can state what difference you expect to find between them. Example: first-year students who attend most lecturers will have better exam scores than those who attend few lecturers. Last, write a null hypothesis. If your research involves statistical hypothesis testing, you will also have to write a null hypothesis. The null hypothesis is the default position that there is no association between the variables. The null hypothesis is written as H null, while the alternative hypothesis is H1 or HA. Example: H null is the number of lecturers attended by first-year students has no effect on their final exam scores. And the H1 is the number of lecturers attended by first-year students has a positive effect on their final exam scores. Okay, the last content is hypothesis examples. First, if the research question is what are the health benefits of eating an apple a day? The hypothesis is increasing apple consumption in over 60s will result in decreasing frequency of doctor's visits. And the null hypothesis is increasing apple consumption in over 60s will have no effect on frequency of doctor's visit. Second, the research question is, can flexible work arrangements improve job satisfaction? The hypothesis is, employees who have flexible working hours will report greater job satisfaction than employees who work fixed hours. And the null hypothesis is, there is no relationship between working hour flexibility and job satisfaction. Last, if the research question is, what effect does daily use of social media have on the attention span of under 16s? The hypothesis is, there is a negative correlation between time spent on social media and attention span in under 16s. And the null hypothesis is, there is no relationship between social media use and attention span in under 16s. Okay, I think that's all about my presentation today. Thank you guys. See ya!